Este programa lo voy a hacer en inglés, pero va a tener traducciones en español para ustedes. Aprovechen y disfruten de este hombre que quiero tanto. Hey! Hi!
Hello.
How are you, Patrick?
Good. I guess I have two different versions of you, so I was waiting for the other one.
Oh my God, I guess you have many more versions of me. But I'm so happy that you were able to connect with the new me one. How are you, Patrick? What's going on? Where are you?
I'm in New Bern. I'm at my office. So
At your office.
a very
that
rare,
rarely and
yeah,
seldom
yeah,
happens.
very
Talking
rare,
all over the world.
yeah, very rare experience, but I'm here. Yeah.
Awesome. How's your wife? How's the family?
He's doing good. Everyone's doing really well. So.
Well, send them all a huge kiss. I love her very much. And I was telling all our Spanish-speaking friends how you and Braintap, because Fab introduced us, has made such an impressive difference in my life, and I will always thank you for that. And I feel the proudest camper in the world to be the Spanish-speaking cousin of Braintap.
Yes, there you go.
We're going to see each other very soon, like in a week or so, in the Dave Asprey's event, which you are going to open. Yep. That's super cool.
That's going to be a great event. Yep.
Thanks for inviting me as a Braintap team.
Yes.
I feel very honored. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hey, Patrick, we've got a subject going here, which is leadership and Braintap. Let me just start this off so you can follow up with all the resources you can give leaders. I've been working with leaders the last 20 years of my life, and they're pooped. They're stressed. They're overwhelmed, and they want to be superheroes, but it's a little bit hard to do it unless you do certain things like brain tapping. But I would like you to talk about leadership because you're an amazing leader and you carry on a super cool team, which I love. So how does leadership, how do you see it? And how can you join that with all of what you've learned through your vast experience with learning brain?
Yeah. Well, I think the main thing is you can't give what you don't have. So you've got to prepare yourself for that leadership role. You've got to do the things that are going to make you have the high energy you need. You can't be the person needing the therapy. You have to be the one that can, be there for your people. So that means taking time to recover. You can't just go 100 miles an hour. Even though I travel a lot and I'm out there doing a lot of things, I still take my time to, do my brain tap sessions every day. I take my time to, eat as healthy as possible, even when I'm on the road.
Yeah.
Take my time to get in bed as early as possible, when I can. When you're not there, of course. When you're not there.
And I'm not close, right? If I'm close, if I'm around, then trouble starts with the sleeping.
Yeah.
But not with the eating. I eat
think
healthy.
Yeah, I think the one thing is that you can't ask somebody to do something you're not willing to do yourself. I found that you can't just tell somebody to do something if you're not willing to roll up your sleeves and do it, or if you've never done it before, you can't know what to expect. I mean, I even with jobs that I have in my property that I have now, I'll go out and do the job at least once just to see what I really need to do. And then usually I won't do it again, but I'll do it at least once to see, what it takes, because, you never know what you're going to get when you hire somebody, and you never know what to expect unless you can do it yourself. So, sometimes we expect things from people that aren't realistic. We need to look at what's realistic and what can be done in the time we're providing, because unrealistic expectations can lead to a lot of discomfort and a lot of negative, what's going on. Because when we provide somebody, leaders typically will, or at least my idea of a leader is somebody who has done it before, and then they found out that maybe they don't like doing it. They can do it, but they're going to find somebody who might even be smarter and better at it than they are, but they're willing to coach them and get them to do it.
I think what you're saying is super cool. two main things. You can't give what you don't have, and you can't ask somebody to do something that you didn't even know what that means that they have to do.
Right.
I think those are two very important characteristics, but you said a few more. Many leaders I work with are burned out, and you are really busy, like all the time flying and giving seminars and conferences all around the world. And you say, you know what, but I do give time for myself. I do have to brain tap. I do have to breath work and brain tap at the same time, or meditate and brain tap, because I don't have a lot of time, but many people that might be joining us from different parts of the world, and this is going to be translated, everything you say, Dr. Porter, because I want the world, the Spanish speaking world, to know how amazing you are. No, many leaders think that they don't have time. One of their main concerns when you talk to them is, I don't have time. What would you tell all those leaders
Well,
that don't have time?
we have a really good study we did with peak performance studies with Julia Arndt, who works with Google and Microsoft. And we took the top 1%ers. They didn't have time either. But what I told them was, the Dalai Lama said, if you don't have time to meditate, then do it twice a day.
Yes.
Because you're doing something wrong. But what we told them was, if you do a brain tap session at 2:00 in the afternoon, this is what we did in the study. At first they said they wouldn't do it. But I said, just give me 2 weeks and we'll show you. What we showed them, number one, was their depression score improved 70%. These people were totally depressed, even though they're the 1%ers. These were the top performers. So when you think about it, they were all consumed by their job. But when you look at happiness scores, we're not just looking at your job. We're looking at what happens when you're not on the job. What do you do when you're not on the job? They had no work-life balance, which means that they're going to, at some point, retire and expire. You know, the average person doesn't even live 5 years after retirement. So we don't work our whole life so that we die at the end of the journey. We want to enjoy the fruits of our labor. So the other thing was that those people that took the 20 minutes, which was everybody in the study, they actually improved on average their work product, which means the production. These were programmers. So 23% more work done by taking a 20-minute break. So think about it, a quarter more work through the day by taking a 20-minute break. Because at 2:00 in the, most people don't realize they get almost 75% of their work done before noon. The afternoon is almost like a struggle. So if they take that time to take a break, they can have another evening. And if you can't do it at 2:00, then do it right when you leave work or as soon as you get home. So you're there for your family, your friends, or whatever you're going to do in the evening so that you have the energy to have that enjoyable life. And their happiness score improved 54%. Their sleep scores improved 47%. So these are all things that happen because of taking one 20-minute break a day. So if you think you can't get it done, or you think you don't have the time, you have to make the time to do this, because when you're sitting there, you don't even know, your mind's spinning, you're wasting all that time considering and thinking. And when you have a fresh mind, what we call the morning mind, because in the morning you have more cortisol, dopamine, and norepinephrine. These are things that your brain needs to make those great. That's why we make better decisions in the morning than we do in the afternoon, because we're not tired. You know, we need to replenish and refresh and then rejuvenate so we can have that great afternoon that we want.
I love it. I brain tap twice a day too. I think the way you start your day is also the way you can finish it. And many people, when they have their horrible self-talks, especially in the morning or at night, when you want to get them away, I would like you to talk to all our Spanish-speaking friends in English. What happens with this other than conscious mind that I love and I know and it exists, but it seems like if it were so close to our soul? I want you to talk about that part of us, because you helped me learn how powerful it is when we connect with it.
Right.
And I also would like you to help the people that are with us that have a head that likes to talk to them at morning and at night what they should do.
Right. Well, we have this other than conscious mind we're talking about. It's there while you're doing what you need to do during the day, you know, taking care of your bills, talking to people, generating content, whatever you're doing during the day. All of that's going on. Your body's got to take care of itself. You have trillions of cells making up your body. There's millions and trillions of things going on at the same time. You're not doing that with your conscious mind. But if you are stressed out, what happens is it's almost like putting a barrier between the health of your cells and the activities you're participating in, because stress dampens blood flow, circulation, all of these things. And so you're talking about lacking that communication to the brain. So when we work with the other than conscious to do some maybe breath work, do a brain tap, whatever it is you're doing, eating healthy, drinking plenty of water, now we're giving the other than conscious mind the materials it needs, because it's normal to get stressed. It's not normal to stay stressed. You know, that's the thing that, you know, we're designed, really, our bodies work best if we have moments of intense work and then moments of high relaxation. You know, in fact, people in sports like Tom Brady say, for every 1 minute that you work out, you need 2 minutes of recovery.
Exactly.
Well, the same thing's true. Most of our leaders, most of the people out there are now in jobs that use their brain, not their body. It used to be that we could recover with our body. Let's say we're out there working in the fields and we're doing or maybe we're working on the roads, whatever it is, construction. We could just go have some carbohydrates and our muscles get filled with energy again and we're okay. But when you're using your brain all day, that takes a lot of energy, and we can't just feed it synthetic sugars and carbohydrates. We need to prepare that. We need to eat more of a brain-based diet, which is more fruits and vegetables that are purple in color. Believe it or not, if you just want some simple rule, go to the grocery store and eat those, and those are really good for the brain. And then eat a lot of green leafy vegetables, because we want something, we need the fiber. We need fiber in our diet more than anything else, especially using our brain. And then have adequate protein. If you're a vegetarian, then you've got to figure out your sources of protein, because if you don't get enough fat, fiber, and protein, your body can't build. Those are the three building blocks your body needs most. And if you're stressed out, guess what? Your body isn't going to metabolize and digest that food. So, and we also have to have some good supplement, something good for our body to do that. Now, when we give that to our subconscious, or what we call the other than conscious mind, now the other than conscious can do the building. And it's while you're doing what you need. One thing I always tell people: while you're doing what you need to be doing, the other than conscious is doing what it needs to be doing. So we have to give it time to do that. So think of it like you have a little kid, your kid's there, and you're trying to get work done. And every time you try to get into doing this workflow, your kid interrupts you. That's your conscious mind. Every once in a while, you just got to put that conscious mind to sleep so you can let the parents do the work. Only 5% of your life is controlled by your conscious mind, but most people are taking their conscious mind and trying to make all their changes. Well, that's never going to happen. You can brute force it for a while, but what happens is when you get stressed out, angry, and tired, your other than conscious takes over. And whatever you've been doing, good or bad or indifferent, your brain thinks that's what you need to do. So that's why we have to go to that other than conscious place, visualize, and then realize those new behaviors and patterns. And it's hard for people to do that on their own. That's why you and I have created sessions on Braintap, so we can guide them through that process, right? So a lot of times, and it's really important that we use what I call positive psychology, which is a new science really in the last 20 years. There was nothing like that before. We don't just talk about the problems anymore. We talk about what's the underlying positive behavior behind that. There's an underlying positive intention behind all behaviors. Nobody does something to hurt themselves, really. It might show up that way, but really it might be for protecting themselves or avoiding fear or harm. Once you really get to the real nuts and bolts of it, we do the things that we believe are best for us. Whether they're actually manifesting that way or not doesn't matter, because the subconscious or the other than conscious says, okay, that's what you want to do, I'm going to do it. So that's when we go into that altered state, whether it's through breath work, meditation, mindfulness, brain tap, whatever it is, we now get discretionary access to our thoughts. And when you talk about those people waking up in the morning, I have a little simple technique that you've heard many times on Braintap. There's many of them in Braintap, but I'll just give one of them here. Once you notice those thoughts, they're no longer other than conscious anymore. They're conscious. You brought something that was in the background of your mind to the foreground. Now you can say the word stop. When you say the word stop, you're giving a direct command to your other than conscious. This is a belief, a thought, an action that I no longer want to do anymore.
Exactly.
Once you do that, then you visualize 3 different ways to handle that situation. So let's say that you want to stop drinking. For instance, you're going through the grocery store and you see the wine and you want to get the wine, but you want to stop drinking. You simply say the word stop. Then maybe you go shop for 3 different healthy beverages like water, or, some kind of healthy juice, or a smoothie or something. And you start replacing it. So your brain, that we call that neural pruning and neuroplasticity. So we need to prune the negatives and we need to expand or express the positive. And once you do that, the other than conscious mind will start running that program, because it's going to run it anyway if we do it enough times. And my favorite saying in all the world, and people who've heard me speak hear me say this all the time: you get what you rehearse in life, not what you intend. Now, if you have great intentions and you're rehearsing it, that galvanizes the unconscious. But if you're rehearsing one thing, but intending another, which means you're going out doing all the other things, which means you're not living up to your, let's say that you have a vision of yourself, but you're doing the exact opposite. Like you're eating foods that are unhealthy and you're doing things that are unhealthy, but you keep intending on being healthy. Your brain thinks that's healthy activity, because energy, emotion drives behavior. So it's not what you're thinking about, it's what you're feeling about that brings those thoughts into reality. So as you're doing it, it's really important that we clear our mind, get into a great physiological state, make friends with our other than conscious, and know that there is a power greater than us, greater than the two of us, in our own personal self, that's controlling our body. And our brain are designed to heal, but we've got to get out of the way. Let the body and the brain do its work, because we can get in the way. We're like that little kid. Just think it's a little kid that keeps interrupting in our subconscious, the conscious mind and the subconscious. When I'm talking about the other than conscious, I'm talking about really your superconscious mind. You have this great capacity that we don't even know what the limits are to that. We're just kind of scratching the surface right now, because people have done incredible things in their life that they didn't know they could do, but given a certain situation and circumstances, they would do that thing. Like a woman in Florida that lifted up the car off her grandson. She was like 93 years old and saved his life. Lifted a car, a few thousand pounds. So what could we do if we started to really visualize it, really realize the capacity of our consciousness?
Wow. It's limitless. So the barriers come mainly from, first, I think many people didn't know that they had another than conscious mind. Now everybody that's hearing us, they had it anyways, but they weren't using it because they didn't really know it existed. So part A is accept that there's another than conscious mind. And if you're doubtful, I mean, just like you say, Patrick, do you ask your heart to beat more than, I don't know how many thousands of times a day? No, it beats by yourself, and it's your other than conscious mind. But we don't let it work. First, because we don't believe it exists, but let's say we do believe it exists. It's because we're running the machinery in the wrong way. Right. So when you start running the machinery in the correct way, automatically your other than conscious mind will kick in and be who it is, I guess, no?
Right. Yeah. Well, most people will believe this part because it's true. Let's say you drove across town and you were in a hurry and you got to the other destination, but you don't remember the stoplights, you don't remember negotiating through traffic, but you made it over. That was your other than conscious. They say that 25% of the time we literally go unconscious, which means your conscious mind goes into a state of abeyance. We're doing something we've done so many times, we don't even think about it. That's when just the unconscious mechanisms or these subconscious programs start running. And if we like them, if we've set ourselves up like driving a car, which most of us can do in our sleep now that we've driven so many times, it becomes automatic. We don't even think about it. But, one of the things I tell people is next time you go to open up a door, notice which way the doorknob turns. While you're sitting here now, think about it. Does the doorknob turn to the right or to the left?
The opening door to the left.
Yeah, it opens. It depends on which way it's hung. Is it a right-hand door or a left-hand door? But we never think about that. So your other than conscious mind already goes ahead and predicts the way the door turns, and you just open it. So it always turns toward the hinges. So when you think about that, most people never think about that. And that's just one thing, that's why when we go to a door that we're used to pushing it open, but it might be a pull, we first push on it, we go, hey, it's not working. And then we go, oh no, it says pull. We pull on it. Just like if we've ever had a job where we had to turn left, but on the weekend we had to turn right to go to something, and we turn left to go to the job. We go, oh, dang it, I'm supposed to turn right because I'm going to somewhere else. It's because we go unconscious. So we have to tune into that part of ourselves, make friends with it, get it to work for us instead of against us. It's doing our job for us. We trained it, but we trained it. Now it's training us. All habits and patterns are the subconscious or the other than conscious. So we can get into the program, but you have to go. When Einstein said it best, he said, you can't solve a problem on the same level it was created. You have to go to the solution, and with that solution in mind, return back to the problem and solve it. That's really what we're talking about when we think about the other than conscious and what's going on. Most people don't realize that you can control what you think. You can control how you act. You can control how you respond. We can't control what happens to us a lot of times. There's some things that just happen and we can't explain them. So some people handle those things really well. Some people don't. If you don't, then it's not about the situation. It's about you. And as soon as you realize what's happening within you, you can change that. I always tell people, and my kids would joke with you because when they were growing up, we had a saying, don't let anyone else have your remote control.
Wow.
Don't let anyone else push your buttons, because family knows how to push your buttons better than anyone. They know just the right thing to say, the right look. If you're in a relationship, that special person has that look, and that look, and you go, don't give me that look, because you assign that look a certain emotion. And so once we know those buttons are out there, we can reclaim the energy that we were giving away. We were giving away our power, especially to be happy, our power to be in flow and relaxed. We're giving it away to other people. And I'm not saying that that's normal, but it's natural. I mean, we train ourselves. Remember, we do this so we don't have to think about all those things. And we breathe over 21,000 times a day. Even blinking, most people don't realize they blink over 20,000 times a day. How many
20.
times do you swallow saliva? I mean, hundreds of times a day, because it's always building up, and it's always, these mechanisms of the brain and body are always working with us. And for it to do one more thing of importance for us is an easy task. It does literally hundreds of thousands of things every given second. So if we assign it the task of making us happy, and we learn how to do that, it will make us happy, because it will create the scenarios and situations that provide us the evidence that we're happy. The saying that Buddha said over 5,000 years ago, it says, all unhappiness comes from unfavorable comparisons. So if we're comparing, and if you're unhappy right now listening to this, think about it. You're comparing that situation to someone else's or to your own. Maybe, some people get unhappy when they go to put on their jeans and they won't button, because they have an image of themselves wearing the jeans, but now they can't put them on anymore. Or some people want to get rid of an addiction, maybe smoking, and they're at the end of a meal, or they're driving their car where they used to smoke and they're not smoking anymore. So the image in their head is of them still smoking, but they're not, and they become unhappy. So we need to make peace with that comparison, because we're always doing that all the time. We can't help that, but what we can do is know that energy is there. I like to call it Tai Chi for the mind. You never fight force with force. You take that energy and use that force for whatever you want for good. In NLP, which is one of the therapies that I use, we call that reframing. We need to reframe that situation so that our brain realizes that the old behavior is no longer necessary or needed, and we have a new behavior that's just as immediate, just as appropriate, but will get us the outcome we want in the long run. Because most problems people have are because of immediate gratification. They want it right now. They want it fast. They don't want to work for it. They want a free ticket to happiness. And the reality is that we have to work on that every day. We have to, like you said, how we start the morning. That's why we have our morning sessions, to get the brain going and to keep people, because if you just let your brain kind of run itself, then
Or the telephone, no? Because
yes, yeah.
many people do the first thing, they grab the telephone and read the horrible messages, text,
Yes.
and that's a horrible way to start the day.
Right.
I think it's really important what you talk about, the alpha waves, and how it's important that today people know that we can actually connect with those waves, and those waves will help us think better, be more creative, sleep better, be more focused. And it's all neuroplasticity. It's not magic, it's real, but it should be treated as something
Right.
normal. You know, you can reprogram your mind. It's something that should be taught like A, B, and C, because many people stick to their stories
Right.
or stick to the story they told them, not to the one they're even having right now, which can be totally different. So I think it's important, Patrick, to understand that certain waves, we need to connect to them. Would that be the word?
Yeah.
Like in the morning, what state would you say, what wave would you say is the one we're going to need to be our best self,
Yeah.
solving, creating problems? Would it be the
Yeah.
alpha
Well,
one?
there's a brainwave right between alpha, which is a creative state, intuitive state, and beta, which is a reactionary state. It's called SMR, sensory motor rhythm. And this sensory motor rhythm state actually is the one, as we get better looking and more intelligent with age, this is the one that atrophies. It also has to do with balance. So when you think about balance, it's a brain function, because what moves the muscles, ligaments, and tendons? What structures ourselves in space and time? So in the morning, when we wake up naturally, I'm saying I'm not against coffee, but I think you should only have coffee after 10 o'clock, because in the morning, your brain is naturally designed to have more cortisol, norepinephrine, and dopamine. And it does this naturally. If you wake up, excited about life, hey, today's a great day, and you get out of bed. Now, some people lay in bed and catastrophize until they get enough fear, that they jump out of bed and they start doing something. Yeah. So
Or
we
they
want to,
don't, or
yeah,
they don't jump out of bed.
right. They don't, they kind of crawl out of bed hoping that nobody hits them, so we want to make sure that when you get up, now that's why there's a lot of breath work you can do, like rapid breathing, like breath of fire, or maybe an alkalizing breath, something like that. And you can learn about these on YouTube.
Yes.
And then, or use Braintap. We have those
In,
sessions.
in Braintap, you have with Travis the breath store
Yes.
sessions. You also have these really cool ones for the alpha and the gamma and the beta. You have so many things. I mean, I love you're my inspiration, and I went to learn from you.
Right.
I won't forget when you say, "Why do you want to learn from me?" It's like, what? I'm the happiest camper to the. You're a novel teacher, and that's right.
Right.
You were working your patience with me.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. The,
Thank
the,
you.
the one thing is that we all have, like a threshold, right? So we have to figure out, sometimes we get students that push that threshold. Dr. Lisa.
Stop, right?
Yeah. So and
Sounds
also the time of
familiar.
the day,
Sounds
it's normal to get tired and um, have, basically get worn out during the day, because when we sleep at night, we're building up that neurotransmitter bank account. When people think about mental health and what's going on in the world today, it's really a physiological problem. We're not moving and breathing. We're not doing the things we're supposed to be doing, getting out, grounding, getting in the sunshine, doing the things that we need to do. People are doing mindfulness exercises. So that's the main reason we said we got to do something like Braintap, because we got to get the brain back into its physiological state. So in the morning, we want to have that alpha beta right in the middle there. And then in the middle of the day, we need to have a total reboot, where we could do a gamma session maybe, or we can do a theta session. These are sessions that actually trigger the brain waves they trigger actually activate something called GABA in the system. And GABA is a precursor to DMT. So for those of the listening that know about like a psychedelics, that we have receptors in our brain for these things, and DMT is in every cell. So if you want to have a spiritual experience or an expanded state of consciousness, we need to alter our state, because when we're in the beta state, it's almost like we're sawing away at our energy, because every minute we're in beta, we're using a lot of energy. So, but when we alter our state and get into alpha and theta, we get infinite energy. When Einstein said, when you're with a beautiful woman for an hour, it seems like a minute, and when you're on a hot stove for a minute, it seems like an hour. This is like, like when people are on their job and they don't like it, it's time changes, right? Our perception of time, and we start to feel it starts to wear on us. I know a lot of people that have a saying. They say, "You're on my last good nerve." Well, that's not a good saying, but it's also true because they're using up their nervous system's energy. And
Yes.
we have a field of energy around us. In America here, they have something called the National Institute of Health, which actually said in 1994 that we have a biofield, which means we have a field of energy. And we were fortunate now because these energy sciences that we're talking about, light, sound, and vibration. Dr. Virginia Hunt out of UCLA actually said, when you alter your state and get into the state of alpha and theta, you expand this energy field, which means think about like we're absorbing energy from an unseen force like Tesla would do. There's energy all around us. But as long as we're in beta, it's almost like that energy set outside. But when we're in the altered state, we absorb that energy. That's what happens during sleep. That's why we wake up and we're energized. It has nothing to do with what we ate the last day. It has something to do with the way our body responds to those brainwave frequencies that are happening. And we're tuning into the field. There's a field of energy around everything and everyone, including the planet. Think of yourself like a acupuncture needle. When you walk out on the planet, you are either feeding energy into the grid, or you're taking energy from the grid. So as you think about this, we'll get this energy in and breathe it out. We want to get this energy in and we want to expand our energy. We want to share that energy. And there's a saying that I love as well. It's anything that happens to you must happen through you.
Exactly.
So move it through you, move this energy through you, and your nervous system will expand. As long as you're in a state of fear, anxiety, like you're saying, watching the news or looking at your tablets or looking at your phone, dealing with a lot of social media is negative. So you want to look for the people like yourself, Dr. Lizi, who's doing positive social media, things like that, so that people, will get inspired. We want to inspire people, not diminish them or rob them of their energy. We all know people that are what I would call energy vampires, that they rob of us our energy. We call them drainers. There's drainers in our life and there's also gainers. We want to find the gainers in your life.
Wow. And yeah, there are vampires. And if you have a vampire in your life, what do you do with it?
Yeah, well, you put a
You
stake
let
through their
them
heart. No, you.
blood a day and
What you
that
do?
will be enough? Are
Yeah.
they in a diet, or you better get out of there? What?
Yeah, I think the main thing you do is you find people that are gainers and you start spending more time with them, because what'll happen is those drainers will simply be gone. You don't give them any energy. The more energy you give a thing, the more it grows. So you don't want to give them energy. And sometimes you can't avoid it because they're family. So you've got to you just got to deal with it and breathe through the situation and know that there's an infinite flow. One thing most people don't realize is there's only an infinite amount of energy in the universe. So you're not going to be robbed of your energy. But if you think you have this little teacup, and when it's gone, it's gone. No, you got to keep filling that. You got to keep filling that cup every day, because you're going to use that energy through the day. It'd be, it happens to everyone. That's why I get up in the morning, I do my morning ritual, I do my afternoon ritual, and if I need to, I do one before I go to bed. And usually 90% of the time it's with a brain tap, but I can do it without it too. I have the brain part of the tap, so you can do it. You can do the brain part and get the result as well.
I sometimes, when I express myself about you and I admire you so much, it's like you really function. That would be the name, when you're doing, but when you're playing, you're playing. When you're having fun, you're having fun, but you're there. I always say it's so important the way we do something, because are you there doing it, or just a part of you is there? I was thinking of how guilty people think about taking away from their precious time 20 minutes to be productive 4 more hours.
Yeah.
I think every company should have a room, a space, where people could do a session, brain tap, hear some meditations, do some breath work, do whatever, but it will definitely change. When you were talking about breath work, and I started hearing you and Travis and say, you know what, I'm going to try this too. I started trying it. It actually is a connection, such a fast connection with the energy. It's incredible.
Right. Yeah, you have to, again, you have to replenish. It'd be, I mean, no one can make it through I mean, you can get away with it for a while. You can get away with burning the candle at both ends, right? You can work really hard. But I've known people, unfortunately, I had a good friend that she was working way too much, not sleeping. She had a very successful business. And I did a brain scan with her and I said, look, Nancy, you've got to do something here because this is bad. You've got a black brain, like we show in the neurochecks. And she said, oh, I got so much to do and I get more work done when the family's asleep. And I go, you've got to sleep. Sleep is not costing you anything. It's actually helping you to do better. And 2 years later, she died, because the body needs that rest and recovery.
And
Everyone needs at
when you
least.
have problems with sleep, like me,
Mm,
because I think my mind is always so active, and obviously I want to shut it up at night. And I do hear my sessions at night. I still hear the one you make for me, and I hear mine
yep.
because I like it long so I can sleep. I
Yep.
fall asleep while I'm hearing
Right.
it, and
Right.
I love that. It helps me. But what would you recommend for the people that have this active brain at night or are having problems sleeping after pandemia?
Well,
My patients, my clients, my
mm,
coachees started narrating so much more stress or so much more problems sleeping, so much. It it was like in Spanish it's called la caja de Pandora. Like it opens and everything popped out, right? So what
right.
helps? What helps Patrick?
Yeah. Someone asked a question, I'll answer it, then I'll answer yours. They're asking, why did she die? She died because we replenish our energy resources when we sleep. If you don't have neurotransmitters, we're going to burn out. So we need to replenish that energy stores. Sleep is so important. If you don't sleep for 3 nights in a row, they say it's like having 2 drinks every day while you're walking around. So you're already in a state of dysfunction. And the tireder you are, the more your brain will dysregulate. When the brain dysregulates, it causes something called neural pruning, which means the brain starts to unwire. So important things happen. So one of the keys, I think, for sleeping is number one, prepare yourself to sleep. Walk around your home 2 to 3 hours before sleep. Start turning off lights. Let your brain know. It wasn't too long ago, 100 years ago, where we didn't have lights that kept our home lit up like a candle at night. Our brain doesn't know it's time to sleep. So we start turning those off. Don't, watch things that are entertaining, not stimulating before you go to bed. Even better, read a real book, like with ink and paper, if you can't get to sleep. Burn a candle. Candles flicker at 10 hertz frequency, which means those mirror neurons in your brain are going to down regulate the body. That's why in ancient times we would gather around the fire and watch a bonfire burning. It had two different effects. One, it had infrared, and one, it flickered at 10 hertz frequency. So it was calming our body down, getting us to sleep. When you get in bed, stop eating and drinking at least 2 hours before sleep. Because if you just ate something and go to bed, your body will not sleep because it needs to metabolize that food. Sometimes you can't avoid it, but if you can, then you give yourself time to digest. It's better when your mother or grandmother or father or grandfather would tell you you're going to go to bed without a meal. That's not a bad thing. Every once in a while, do that, And then the other thing is when you get in bed, laying in bed, if you don't have the brain tap especially, breathe into the count of 4. This will stimulate your sympathetic system. This is your fight or flight. Become aware of the feelings you have about it. Don't resist them. Just let them flow. You have to unlock the nervous system to sleep. So think of it like unwinding a coil and then breathe out to the count of 8. And as you breathe out, think of all the things you're grateful for during the day. Even the simplest things like I found my keys, or I got to the store safely, or I drank plenty of water today, whatever it is, or you met a friend that you haven't seen in a long time. Whatever it is, start building a gratitude bank account, because whatever you think about right before bed, you're going to dream about. So if you think about all the things you're grateful for, guess what? Your subconscious, or that other than conscious mind, is going to start planning you having more of those experiences in your life, more unique, special experiences with people, with things, with events, and you'll become more in a state of flow where energy will come natural to you. And then expect to wake up with energy. That's what some people 92% of the people, when I had my franchise company and we asked every person coming in all the clinics, do you like your job? 92% of those people said that they did not like their job. Well, if you don't like your job, you're spending 1/3 of your life doing it, then you better start preparing to do another job, because that job will be harming you, or figure out what you need to do to enjoy that job again. There was a reason for that.
I was hearing this. Give me a second. I was introduced to Braintap in February. I was a doubter until others that I know highly recommended it because of my multiple head injuries. 2 weeks after starting, my deep sleep cycle tripled. I mean, do you think, Patrick, I would open my mouth about something that has not transformed my life? I actually lovingly want people to use it. I want them to start using the app. I want them to hear this program. I want them to know that it exists, because people did not know all of these things that you're saying. Maybe you heard it from the grandparents, maybe you didn't, but I'm sure you forgot, because your very busy life makes you forget of all these basics to be a good hero of your life, I guess.
Right. I think the main thing that I always tell people is we got to go back to basics. If we could eat well, drink well, sleep well, be physically active, be outside more, we probably wouldn't have at least half the health problems that we have today. So it's really simple. But what happens is, there's a saying, spirit is simple, but man is complex. So, we try to make things more difficult than what they are. So when you think about how people make their life difficult, like if you think your problems are the worst in the world, then your other than conscious will make them the worst in the world. We need to think about, you have a very powerful brain, really. It's 100 billion neural bit processor. It can do incredible things of importance for you. It can also make your life miserable. So we have to use it. It's just like anything else. When somebody thinks about electricity, we can use it to light our homes and give us a lot of time in our home, or we can use it to electrocute somebody because they killed someone. So the same electricity, it doesn't matter. So we have the power that we have does not care. It wants to be used. So we have to direct that use. So think about where you want to direct that use. We can direct that use for health and happiness and vitality in our body, but we have to take time out of our busy schedule to realize that we're worth the time, the energy, and effort. And my dad used to have a really good way of saying it. He said, you're not just laying there. A lot of people look at it totally incorrectly. You're not just laying there. You're doing a lot of neurological work. It's taking a lot of energy to do that, because when you're meditating or you're using Braintap, that's why we have the light energy that comes in through the eyes and ears, is we need to bring energy into the brain to keep you awake. There's a saying that you've probably heard about children. They say, my child is too tired to sleep. Well, unfortunately, most adults are too tired to meditate. So they need to increase their brain energy, and you can't do that with food alone. You have to do that through breath work. That's yoga, for instance. If anyone out there has ever done yoga, yoga, the most important pose in yoga is the very last one, the corpse pose. That's when you get all the neuroplasticity. When I go to India, they go, all the other yogic poses are to give you the energy so that you can withstand and stay awake during that corpse pose, or during Navasana, Savasana, when you're at the end, getting your thoughts around and getting your energy up. So just know that this has been forever. It's since ancient times they've known that we need to build our energy up in our brain so that we can get the life that we want, instead of the life that we've been delivered based on our under the unconscious mind's actions, because it's just delivering to us every day what we've played out in our mind.
And every time it wants to play the other way, because it might happen at the beginning. It's like when I teach the rubber band technique. Yours is, you say stop, and you send that image 200, 300 feet back, and you just let it pass. Like if you were in a car driving, you just let it comes again, stop, go back. It's like you have to do it, in the sense that if you don't do it, it's going to keep on there with all the force in the world, with how many kilobytes were there able to make your day a terribly impossible, horrible day. So does work.
Right.
That's amazing. And to close our show today, Dr. Patrick, first tell us where we're gonna hear you and see you. I'm super proud that I'm gonna be in first line.
Right.
You're gonna open with a meditation in the Dave Asprey event, right?
Yes. Yeah,
And the
we're
day
gonna be in
before,
Dallas, Texas. If they go to
yes,
biohacking, if they want to come, there's probably still seats available. They can use BC Braintap. BC
deep.
Braintap and get 30% off. BC,
Oh,
like before Christ, Braintap.
obese
BC Braintap,
brain
BC
tap.
Braintap, and they can get 30% off a ticket. They
Oh,
can come and see us. We're going to have our booth there. We can measure their brains, see how they're doing. We're going to have a big booth there. There'll be a lot of toys there, though. A lot of great stuff. I know you were there last year's when we started to, or was it 2
when
years ago?
we
I'm not sure which one. Yeah,
met, that's
yeah,
when it was
yeah,
last year, I think,
yeah,
or the year. I don't
yeah.
know, but it just changed and made me so happy. And now I'm going with a brain tap badge. I can't even believe it. I'm so happy. Let's see how many come. I want to make everybody speak Spanish.
There you go. Well, we do have, you'll be there. Dr. Mimo will be there because
Oh,
last year
cool.
we had a lot of Spanish people coming to the booth, so we need some help. My Spanish is reserved to only, where's the bathrooms and things like that. So,
Oh
so,
my
so
God,
I need some.
I'll be your translator, the happiest translator. That's so cool. So at the end of this month, in a week, it's on the 29th that you start talking in the Dave Asprey event.
Yes. And then it'll go from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Wednesday's the pre-conference event. So if you get in early, you can participate in that. And then you
I
can,
did. I
yeah.
already signed up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then you can do the Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's going to be a fun-filled experience. If you're part of the VIP, you can actually experience our brain tap chairs. The full vibration chairs will be up in the VIP lounge with sound frequencies. So it
I
just
want to
adds
do
another level.
that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, we'll get you up there.
Okay, that's so cool. Well, it is a playground, but it's more than a playground. It's what you're doing and speaking in so many places about this amazing technology, which I love and I use. I wouldn't be talking about it if it hasn't helped me so much in so many things. And talking to you and meeting people that are really doing a difference, it motivates to keep on doing a difference and to know that today we can do much more than we thought we could.
That's right.
So give us like 3 Patrick tips
Well, number
for
one, wake up in the morning, sending the devil into hiding. Wake up knowing that today is a great day, that there's been no day like today. Start the day with what they call a beginner's mind, that this is a new and different experience. How can you attack the day and really have fun with the day? And number two, be gentle to yourself. The sins of the past are simply the past. You can't change the past, but what you can do is you can change your perception of it. You can take those past experiences, just like you talk about superpowers. That's your dark night of the soul. You're learning your superpower. Every superhero had to go through that. So go get through it, make that your power. Number three, figure out how you can be a servant leader, which means how can you serve the planet? Because that's how you're going to find your place in the world. If you haven't found your place, it doesn't have to be doing brain tap or whatever. You've got to find your place because everyone is unique. There is no coincidence that you're listening right now, listening to what we have going on. You're going to inspire other people by your actions. You don't know who you might change. I always tell people, my dad had no idea how many millions of people he was going to change when he stopped drinking and went to a ultra relaxation seminar with Silva and found out that he could relax and stop drinking. You don't know the lives you're going to change by inspiring just one person. And I can tell you, he didn't think that Patrick was going to do what he did because I was only 12 years old at the time. I was learning just like everybody else. So just know that your everyday actions are changing the world. every one of us together. And we have to do this as a group. It's not something we can do separately or independently, and it's never going to happen that way. We have to all move together and do it. And then we're going to find that we're going to wake up one day and it's going to be the world that we all wanted because we're working toward that. And we change the world through our internal resources, expressing them through our outer world.
Wow, what an amazing, amazing way to say exactly what you do and what we all are trying to do, what we are doing. So we're looking for 1 billion brains. When is that going to happen?
Well, we just opened up India. So I just started a company in India with our company, and we've met with a bunch of people over there that are part of the government. And I think we're going to meet that billion brains pretty quick here because
I told you that I never got the 1 billion. I don't know why I always thought 2 was like the immediate goal.
Yeah, they told me that we're gonna get 10 billion brains because by the time we do it, there'll be 10 billion people on the planet. But imagine we want to change the world. We know that there's something called the Maharishi effect, which is when people are doing the same thing in harmony, it will change the actual way people think, act, and respond. So imagine everyone starting their morning off with a mindful meditation, through Braintap, all at the same brainwave frequency, sending that energy out for gratitude, peace, and harmony. And then in the middle of the day, instead of being stressed out, running to get chocolate and coffee and tea, you can still have that after you do your brain tap session if you need it. And then sending that energy out because that energy is real and tangible. It's not a metaphysical concept anymore. It's a physical reality, and science knows that. This biosphere, if we keep that tuned up. So think about it like you're polishing your energy. Every time you're doing it, you're polishing this energy field. And I think we're going to, one person tells one person, that's how it's going to work. And you do that by not telling them, but by showing them. Be the change you want to see in the world by doing it from the inside out. And then you'll make a big impact. If you tell somebody, they're going to not believe you. But if you're living the lifestyle that has what we call the stress-free lifestyle, you're mindful and you're doing your things, people will ask, what's going on? Well,
what are you doing?
Yeah, you owe it to yourself to be that way.
And you remind me, I was interviewing Thad one day, and I asked him, what do you think of all the things that you've heard is the most important thing a leader needs to have to be an exceptional leader, one that wants to be an exceptional leader? And the answer was exactly the same. In other words, love yourself.
Right.
And it seems and sounds so easy, and its depth is so profound, so beautiful, because when I understood the word compassion to myself,
Yeah.
love to yourself. Most of the leaders I know, they love so many people. They even love their bosses. They're always going to be there and do what they have to do. But they are stepping on the most important thing. They need this love to themselves and to show it in a simple way that's going to have an impact because, okay, they don't have all that time, right? At least do something loving in those moments that can actually get you through the day being the happy person you deserve to be and the happy leader you deserve to be.
Exactly. I agree.
I love it. Hey, something else you want to say before we say bye-bye? I mean, I would talk to you all day.
I think we said it all. I mean, if
down
they,
at the train letter, eh?
yeah, if they need to go back and listen, but just know that you're far greater than you've been led to believe. Activate that higher level consciousness. Let's change the world.
Let's do it. I'm all in.
Okay.
I love you, Patrick. Thank you so much.
Love you too, Dr.
And I'm really happy that many more people in Spanish have actually bought the Braintap. They're hearing the sessions, and I'm just so happy to see them in English and Spanish and you, me, because many people are starting to hear them, and we're gonna help many more for those 2 billion at least.
That's right. There you go. I like that.
Right now.
Okay. Okay.
Love you.
Okay.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you. We'll talk soon.
Yes, so for the Dave Asprey BC, Braintap.
Yep. VC Braintap, get 30% off. We'll see you there. Bye, everyone. Okay,
See
bye.
you. Bye-bye. Thanks,
Bye.
Patrick. Love
Yep.
you.
Love you too.